Welcome back to the Seeking Success podcast, the number one virtual podcast in the world, powered by StockPick. Today we have a very special guest on, Imran Ibn Mansur, aka Dawah Man. Now, this is an interesting guest because Dawah Man has a crazy story. He went from being a professional rapper to an Islamic teacher, and he's built this online business around educating people in the space of religion. So it's a very interesting story we have here. We have two sides, the before, the after, and now the business side. Imran, thank you so much for coming on. And I want to ask, should we address you as Dawah Man or Imran?
So interestingly enough, actually, I haven't officially made the announcement, but I dropped the Dawah Man name a few months ago.
Okay.
It was something that I came up with over 10 years ago. You know, when I started off doing Dawah, I was primarily relating to the youngsters, the youth. So I was like, how can I, the same way when it comes to my businesses, my marketing, I always try to be different. How can I have something that no one else has? Everyone else is called Sheikh so-and-so, Ustad so-and-so. Because then I want to get the youngsters to listen to me. So, you know, Dawah Man. At the time, Marvel was big, Spider-Man, Batman, everyone was, you know, on that franchise. So, but now obviously, now I'm 32, grown. I just felt like I grew out of the name. The name, there were certain things associated with it that, you know, it's not really what I'm doing now. But you can call me Imran. You can call me Imran.
Okay, cool. And actually, for the people that don't really know, what does that mean, Dawah Man?
So Dawah basically, in Arabic, it means to call. But in the context of religion, it means to call people to worship in Allah alone. So this was the reason that Allah sent down the Quran, the Prophet Muhammad was sent out, so that we can be free from worshiping anything else other than Allah. We can be free from worshiping human beings, stones, worshiping ourselves. Like, even, you know, when it comes to business, Islam encourages business to a very high level, but not to the extent where you worship money. Like the Prophet Muhammad said, destruction be to the slave of the gold coin and the silver coin. You know, when you start worshiping other than Allah, your moral compass goes all over the place. You find that you're moving forward in life, but you're dissatisfied. You've got women, clothes, cars, money all around you, but that heart is craving that spiritual connection with his Lord. So Dawah basically means to connect yourself to Allah in a worship sense and no one else. Man is basically the guy who's doing the Dawah.
Love it, bro. It's crazy. Imran, it's so weird calling you that too, bro. You gotta call you Sheikh or something, bro. But here's the thing, Sheikh. I've been following you since I was 14, bro. So forgive me if I come off as a fanboy today. 14, 15, and now I'm 20, about to turn 24, 23.
Oh, wow.
So almost 9
10
years, man. Almost 10 years, bro. And it's crazy. At the time, it was Muslim Survival Guide before his Knowledge College. I was in the Muslim Survival Guide, bro. And I was to a point. I was always Muslim, but we're from India. We're from India originally, so we're very cultural. Alhamdulillah, Muslim, Jamaat, But there's no emphasis on religion. So I remember when I started watching your videos and started learning these things, started going to masjid, and I remember my parents were getting scared. They thought I was getting into some extremist stuff. But anyways, bro, I just want to say, bro, I appreciate you, man. It's crazy.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you, man. Well, it's brothers like yourself that when I hear these stories, just makes my heart so warm. So, I appreciate you guys, man. Barakallah feet, man.
So we're talking about moral compass. You're saying how you get to a point where and that was your shift in name, right? But we can talk about even earlier on, right? Because I remember one time hearing that when you were in the music industry, you were so far that I believe you had your own studio. You guys were producing music videos. There's Lamborghinis, Bentleys, and all that. So it sounded like you're at the height of the career. Can you explain at what height you were? And then what made you inside want to change and go I want to leave all this to worship God?
So, in a nutshell, my bro, what it was that in terms of the music industry, one of the things, especially at the beginning in the UK, the hip hop industry, grime industry, what they used to call it, the artists wouldn't make a lot of money. And me, I'm a person where I did like music at the time, Allah forgive me, but it wasn't something that I was ready to live and die for. It was, even in my lyrics, I used to have a very, very conscious, very woke kind of message, waking people up to a lot of the stuff that was taking place around the world, injustices. I used to kind of be on that Tupac kind of vibe. So I had a message to give, but I didn't feel like music was the only way I could give it, which is why it was kind of easy for me to give it up. But while I was doing it, the more so it was I just looked at a niche in the market. That's just the way my mind always worked. I said to myself, look, I want to make money. I can't really see myself being a guy that works a 9 to 5 in a corporate job. All the guys around me selling drugs, doing fraud, and I don't want to go to jail. And plus, I was raised with some spiritual foundation, so I knew what was right, what was wrong.
Yeah.
So let me make music. I know music well, and the UK music industry hadn't blown at the time. So I saw that it was just starting to grow when I got involved, but I saw that there was not a lot of money involved. So I thought and I thought and I thought, and I said to myself, well, I could be an artist at the time, get signed to a label, and they're going to take most of my money. Okay, maybe I get some royalties over the years. Or I can set up my own studio. Everyone's trying to be an artist. At that time, it was just a thing to do. Everyone wanted to be a rapper. So I said, let me make a studio. And all these other guys, whether they make it or not is irrelevant, but they want a service that I can provide. I built my own studio as a top high-class quality studio. So just come and pay me. And then on the back of that, you know, I'm actually making a lot of money. Whether they make it or not, that's their problem. They have to pay me for the service. So then there's a couple, you know, I won't mention, but there's a couple big names that were at that time big, like growing in the industry. They came through my studio, they recorded, and that obviously gave me a lot more exposure. Then I started to branch off. I actually started to put together my own record label, but it was at that time that I realized this is not really bringing me a lot of joy. You know, at the end of the day, Umar, Radies, the only reason we do things that we do is for happiness.
Yes.
You know, people have always said money doesn't buy happiness. Is it true? Well, I know that I was trying to run after money for happiness. And if we run after a woman, it's really for happiness. If we run out for respect or credibility amongst people, it's for happiness.
Yeah.
I had respect. I had connections. Like me, I was never like a guy who was gang banging on a block or selling drugs, but I had friends and I had connections through the music industry that were very dangerous people. And I'm a person where I'm good at socializing. So I had really, really strong connections. I could really go to pretty much any part of London and no one could really harm me. It was a phone call and then it's a wrap. I had, as you can imagine, females that, you know, would be into myself. I had money and I had more money than I knew what to do with it. Like I would just give my friends money. I remember one time I had £50 notes, which is like your $100 bill, just wrapped up in a rubber band. One of my friends came. I was just looking at the money thinking, what do I even do with this? I just threw it to him. Said, bro, go buy yourself an Xbox or something. I'll take my friends. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm 18, 19. I'm going to New York for holidays, California for holidays. I'm going to Dubai for holidays, and I'm taking my friends with me. I'm at university now, and I'm just finding this emptiness in my heart. I feel sad. I've got women that are interested in me. I've got money. I've got friends. I've got respect. But I'm feeling very, very sad, very empty. I couldn't explain to you. I just felt this emptiness. And then I started to realize some of my friends are backstabbers. Okay. I realized that, you know, a particular woman that I was interested in really wasn't what I thought that she was. You know, you start to wake up to things around you. And I've always been I've not been that guy to like, let me just, you know, let me rob you or let me violate you or let me take this girl and treat her badly. And, you know, that's not me. If I was ever interested in someone, I always thought, let me marry them one day, you know? So anyway, what happened was that a series of disappointments. I'm in university, you know, I'm in my second year. I go to the prayer room because I was like, there's nowhere else to go. I might as well just go, just vibe out at the prayer room, maybe pray. One brother came to me and he looked at me and said, you look very depressed. What's up? So I told him my story and he looked at me and he said, listen, you're destined to be sad, my bro. I said, why? He said, there's no way for you to be happy as long as you place your happiness in temporary things. If you place your happiness in the girl, your happiness as long as she remains. But if she's what made you happy when she goes, or when you realize she isn't what she was, then your happiness goes too. He said, you're a weak man. If your happiness is in your friends, well, when they leave you, they took the happiness with you. If your happiness in a Lamborghini, and then when the Lamborghini gets totaled, it gets crashed, your happiness gone. So I'm looking even more depressed now. I'm thinking, what? So you're telling me this is it now? At that moment, I understood, not that I ever wanted to, but I understood why people commit suicide. I understood why people get high. Because me, I've never, ever been intoxicated in my life, alhamdulillah. I've been around people that have been doing crazy things. I've never been intoxicated, not with weed, not with alcohol. And I remember there was a song by a particular rapper, and he mentions like a story about a guy who's basically got mental health and he's drinking alcohol to what? Numb the pain. And then he mentions that soon as the buzz leaves, the problems come right back around. So I understood people are smoking, drinking to hide the pain that they're going through. So as that's all taking place, I'm sitting there thinking, I understand why rich people with girls and cars and guns, why these rappers are all getting high, because they can't enjoy the life that they're actually in. They have to have something fake to take their mind away from the reality of their sad life. But at that point, the guy looked at me and he said, my friend, he looked at me, my friend now, he said, look, but there is one way to be happy. He said, if the problem was placing your happiness in things that are temporary, the solution is place your happiness in the one that is permanent. That's Allah, He never goes away. No matter where you are, what you do, you could be in the most lonely place. Everyone's turned their back on you, but you can always turn to Allah, and He's always there. Bro, that hit me like, I can't explain to you the way that hit me. Like when that hit me, I was like, yo, that's what I need. So from that moment, I never looked back, man. Obviously, I'm still on my journey. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being. We have ups and downs, smiles and frowns, but I'm committed more than anything else to having a relationship to my Lord, man. That's what it is.
Wow, that was very powerful, man. Thank you for sharing that story, because that's wow. Because one of the things I want to share as well is I recently, I don't know if I asked Umar this, but I was trying to find out what in life is permanent, right? And if you really think about it, right, like obviously certain people have different beliefs. Certain religions believe in reincarnation. Certain people believe that after you can go to heaven, or you could go to wherever that may be, or maybe life ends, your spirit goes somewhere, but your body stays here. And it's kind of interesting. Like I haven't been able to find the answer to what is truly permanent. Like you can even think, okay, is time permanent? It might be permanent, but we don't know. Like eventually there will be a time where we don't realize what time actually is. Is the Earth permanent? No, because eventually, the sun's supposed to get super big and then blow up Earth or whatever, right? So it's really interesting, because this is the first time I've had someone, I guess, answer my question of what is permanent. And I guess I don't know. Like I never thought to think like, oh, like God, like that's permanent, right? So that's kind of mind blowing, man. I'm glad that you said that. Like,
you know what it is, my bro. It's actually deep, because the humans they search for these questions. So I can see you're quite in tune with yourself, mashallah. There's two things that changed it for me. Number one was what was permanent. Number two is what is certain. What's permanent is Allah, and what's certain is death. There's no certainty in terms of my life that's greater for me right now than death. I don't know if I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna if I'm gonna start a next business is gonna blow. I don't know if my next marketing campaign is gonna go well. I don't know if my child is gonna be this or that. I don't know, but I know I'm gonna die. I don't know if I'm gonna go paradise. I don't know if I'm gonna, but I know I'm gonna die. So for me, I'm just trying my best to make sure that when that moment of certainty comes, I can be with the one who's permanent, Allah. You know what I'm saying? So those two things, what's permanent, what's certain, that kind of is what I think the believer's life should be dominated by.
So Imran, I want to ask you, because there's like a whole I guess new wave of people on social media talking about masculinity and feminism and everything of that nature. What are your thoughts of masculinity and this whole movement?
Very good, man. You know what it is? So for me, again, I look at my whole worldview through the Quran and the Sunnah, because the Quran is from Allah, and Allah created men, He created women. So imagine when I want to know what the characteristics of the iPhone are, I'm not going to ask Samsung. I'm going to ask the iPhone. So when I want to know what the characteristics of men are, of manhood, and the characteristics of femininity, I'm going to go to the one who created men and women. So in the Quran, like Allah talks, number one, a characteristic of a man is that he worships Allah. A man who is enslaved to other than Allah is not really a real man. A man who's enslaved to his desires, he's enslaved to his penis, he's enslaved to his alcohol, his bank account, his job. Like he will do whatever his boss tells him for that check. He will sell his soul just so he can get paid. Some guys get into relationships with girls, and that girl will just destroy his life. She's his God. A real man is one who's connected to Allah, and Allah mentions that in chapter 24, chapter of light. Another verse in the Quran, Allah mentions men are ones who provide. A man provides for his family, for his wife. Allah said, الرجال قوامون على النساء. The men are places maintainers over the women. One of the reasons because Allah said the man spends on his family, spends on his wife. It's the man's job to provide. He's got to build security for his family, his wife, his children. In this day and age with inflation on the rise, and all of these financial problems that we're having, we need to make sure that we're financially good. And a man can't be stingy. A man can't just be earning money for himself. No, like, a man's got to take care of everyone around him.
Yeah.
A man has to be like the ocean tide. The ocean tide, when it rises, it lifts up the boats with it. A man don't just rise on his own and leave everyone else down. So that's a man. Also, a man's got to be truthful. Allah said, وَمِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رِجَالٌ صَدَقُوا مَا عَهَدُوا اللَّهَ عَلَيْهِ. From the believers, there are men. There are men that they're truthful to the promises that they made to their Lord. So a man doesn't lie. When a man makes a promise, he sticks to it. The man says, I'm going to be here. He is. If he's not able to make it, he goes and recompenses. So there's many characteristics of man. A man is strong. A man is able to defend, fight. The Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him was the greatest man, and he embodied all of these examples. He was a businessman, and he had actually 10 different sources of income. A lot of people don't know that Prophet Muhammad wasn't poor. Allah says in the Quran, وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِدًا فَأَغْنَى. We found you poor and we made you rich. And the Prophet Muhammad had wealth, but the thing is, you didn't see him being carried in chariots, living in palaces. He lived a very humble life because he gave it away. He had 9 wives, so he had to take care of them. He'd also give to the community. He would spend, on everyone. Like he didn't put any of that in his pocket. In fact, the Prophet never carried coins in his pocket, ever. It would come to him and it would go. He would always inject the money back into the Muslim community. So he had money. He had 10 different sources of income. The greatest companions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Abu Bakr, like what the Christians would call disciples. He was a rich man. One time he gave 4,000 gold coins in charity. Those gold coins, I worked out how much they would be worth in today's currency. It would be over £500,000 today as a one-time charity that he gave. You can't give that type of charity unless you've got wealth. One of his other companions funded a whole army. Like, imagine funding an army of 10,000. Like, you got to have wealth, right? So they were strong, they were wealthy, they were slaves of Allah, they would worship Allah alone, they would take care of their families, they were truthful in the promises that they made. So the manhood conversation is big. That's why we set up this project called the Brothers Club, because I saw so many people were asking this question, obviously as a clapback to feminism, obviously as a clapback to the oppression that a lot of men were facing, which is real. But the solutions that they were trying to solve for it might not necessarily be the best of solutions. For us, we've got the Quran. So we set this club up to encourage brothers to basically go hard in 5 areas of their life. And these are the 5 areas that we all want to improve. And we find that the religion really encourages this. Number 1 is your religion. So your religion's got to be on point. Number 2 is your money. Your pockets have to be good. Your relationships with your wife or your wives, your children, your parents, your community, your friends, your mental health and your physical health. So that's what the Brothers Club is all about. So we set this initiative up when we saw the need for it. And to be honest, we didn't set this up on the back of Andrew Tate. Like, I know a lot of people started talking about this topic when he brought it to light and the Red Pill movement prior. But see, me, I've been doing Dawah for over 10 years now. And primarily I've been focusing with the kids in the hood. So the guys who are selling drugs, killing, some of our kids didn't make it. When I say kids, I mean, I'm 32-year-old. So some of them are like 20, 21, 20. They're still young to me, So some of them are dead now. We buried them. Some of them in jail. Some of them in jail. Some of them have been on murder cases. Some of them have murdered and repented and changed their life and done their time and come out. Point being, we've been with the worst of the worst. So helping these kids, we realize that, when they come to the masjid, to the mosque, they want to make change. When we take them to pilgrimage, to Umrah, to Mecca, they want to make change. You see a guy who might have caught a body or be willing to catch a body, now wants to become a student of knowledge and change his life completely. What happened? The environment changed. And the message is so real, it gets to the heart. So they want to change their life. But we find that every time they go back, they get sucked and pulled in. So we realize that there's a lot of problems. Either they got problems with women and that throws them off, or they got problems with money and that throws them off. Whatever it is, we need to create solutions to these problems. So we know that the religious side of things is good. They want to make change. But what happens when you don't have a degree and you don't know how to make money, but you know how to sell drugs? What happens when you don't know how to manage your emotions? Your mental health is not good. So when someone disrespects you, you pull out a gun or a knife and you stab. You don't know how to control your anger. You don't know about conflict resolution. What do you do with regards to fixing these areas of your life? So we started the Brothers Club for that reason, to educate brothers how to make money, how to maintain healthy relationships, how to not just get any woman, but how to have a dream woman that you want and get her. you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the physical health, mental, all of that. So yeah, that's really how we're trying to solve that issue.
So
Bro,
okay,
Go
yeah,
ahead, bro.
let me just ask you, because I guess like just to play devil's advocate here, right? Because I think like
Please, yeah.
we do have a lot of listeners who I guess might not believe in religion, and regardless of the listeners or not, I don't know what the statistics are, but there are a lot of people going through these issues, whether that's females being, like wanting multiple partners, and females kind of doing their thing, and men too, kind of not really providing for their woman and kind of treating women like shit. Obviously, like from what it sounds like, the easy fix is to just, follow what's in the Quran, right? For those people who aren't religious in that sense, how do you think these people fix their problems in today's modern world, especially in the Western society?
Well, that's the thing. And by the way, forgive me because I do like to speak my mind. So, and I am a bit of a polarizing individual. So,
No, you're fine.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, good. So my thing is that when you leave people to try and solve these problems, we
Yes.
come out with things like the LGBTQ plus movement. And like, for example, you have to understand that Christianity is something that exists in Europe, and obviously when people migrated over to North America,
Yeah.
they brought Christianity with them, and they brought the baggage and the problems that Christianity has. So
Yeah.
when you look, atheism was a response to the irrationality of Christianity. Christians are telling you God is one, but he's three, and God is ever living, but he died, and God feeds you, but he had to drink from his mother's breast milk. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So when you don't have another alternative, you're going to go to atheism. Likewise, when the archbishops of the Catholic Church are getting together in France in the 12th, 13th century to discuss if the woman is even a human being, naturally you're going to give rise to movements like feminism. When the church is being so involved in everyday life to the point where it's stunting growth, you're going to see a natural response from things like secularism. When you see that Christianity as a whole is letting people down and it's controlling every aspect of their life, not even allowing science and things like that to make progress because it goes against things in the Bible, then what you're going to see is rise to things like liberalism and individualism. So these things are a response to the problems of Christianity that people have seen over the last 1,000 years. Now, here's the thing. These things don't apply everywhere else in the world. People think democracy works everywhere. Democracy doesn't work everywhere. We've seen certain countries where they've tried to remove autocracies. And they found that they left the people in what? Pain and suffering. They left the people, like, again, I'm no supporter of Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein done a lot of atrocities. There's a lot of evil that he did. But I'm talking about that particular part of the world. Democracy is something that the Westerners brought over and tried to force as a system of governance in a part of the world that doesn't need it. Saddam Hussein was there, done a lot of evil. But when you look at the evil that took place ever since the democratic institution was introduced in that part of the world, the evil's been a lot worse. I mean, ISIS. And ISIS is only one of the evil things that came out of that part of the world, because those people do well with what? Authority. Like when you go to the UAE, everyone talks about United Arab Emirates, Dubai, the progress that they're making, and even all the Westerners want to go there. It's not a democracy. It's an autocracy. It's run by the ruler. There's no votes. There's no elections.
Yeah.
Everyone does what they're told, because in that part of the world, democracy is not needed. So the point is that when some of these people, they feel like the solutions to their problems are universal, that's a bit juvenile. That's a juvenile way of thinking, because not everywhere has the same problems that you do. So sorry about that tangent. Coming back to the specifics of your question. So when they say, look, well, I don't have Islam as a solution, and I don't believe in Islam, I'm going to solve the problem myself, they're going to give rise to things like LGBTQ+. And the problem with that is, where do you draw the line? I mean, you've got kids that are being encouraged to cut off their body parts, to cut off their penises at a young age, but later on regretting it, and they're making the turn back. Now you've got movements where they're encouraging pedophilia. Like, where do you draw the line? Like, eventually, like, human beings don't know what's best for themselves, and if you leave a human being to his own devices, he's just going to carry on destroying himself. So you need regulation. You need a regulation. You need a way to regulate this. Now, I'm not going to go looking at anyone else for how to sort out the problems in my iPhone other than Apple, because Apple manufactured my iPhone.
Yeah.
Likewise, I'm not going to go anywhere else to work out the solutions to the problems of mankind other than the manufacturer of mankind. I understand some people may not believe. That's a conversation we can have about proofs and evidences and whose worldview is more in line with the reality of the world that we live in, and who's got proofs and evidences for whatever it is that they believe. We can have that conversation. But just in terms of the solutions that Islam offers, I mean, for example, nowadays we see a lot of men talking about, I'm not satisfied with one partner. A man needs multiple partners or whatever have you. I mean, Islam provides that outlet. We've seen that there are more women in society that are single than men. Why? Because more men go to prison, more men end up dead because they're a bit more aggressive. Men go to war, come back. More men end up being unavailable for marriage and for relationships. Then there are statistically more women in society than there are men. So what do? If every man was to have one woman, there's going to be a lot of women that are left over. Those women, either one of two can happen. Either we can say, well, tough, sorry, you're going to have to live without a partner, without children, without love. Or those women are going to become loose. They're going to have an affair with another man, destroy another man's marriage, another woman's household, be someone's girl on the side, become prostitute. You know, like, what would you, if I would say to anyone who has an issue with polygamy, like, what do you want? Would you rather your sister, your daughter, to be another man's wife when he's already married to another woman and she gets rights, provided for, taken care of, or do you want her to be another man's thing on the side? Because she needs love. She's either going to be his wife or his thing on the side. So, you know, like things like alcohol, like, you know, when I speak to people, I say, look, is mental health something that's important? Is that something that we can agree upon, that mental health is something that we need to preserve? We need to take care of people's mental health. Good, we can agree. Okay, question number 2. Do we accept that alcohol harms people's mental health? Even if it's not on a long term, in the short term, when a person's drunk, when a person has lost his mind because he's not able to control his liquor, is he more aggressive? Is he more dangerous? Does he cause more harm to society? Absolutely. Like in the UK a few years ago, the NHS, which is our medical body, they spent £8 billion on alcohol-related abuse, sicknesses in the hospital. So as a taxpayer, as people who pay tax, we're paying £8 billion towards people that can't hold their liquor. You know what I'm saying? And then the damage that they cause to society because they've lost their nut, they've lost their mind. So clearly, it affects people's mental health. So Islam has 5 objectives. It has 5 objectives. Number 1, it wants to protect your religion. Number 2, it wants to protect your life. Number 3, it wants to protect your wealth. It wants to protect your mental health. And it wants to protect your honor. The reason we say men can't go around sleeping with women is to protect the honor of those women. The reason we say men can't go around drinking alcohol, selling drugs, because it affects people's mental health. The reason we can't go robbing and stealing is because we want to protect people's wealth. The reason we can't go around stabbing people, harming people, getting away, because we protect people's what? We protect their life. And likewise, we protect people's religion. So every law in Islam is for one of these 5 objectives. So I just always ask people, do you want to protect life? Do you want to protect honor? Do you want to protect wealth? Do you want to protect health? Maybe religion you don't want to protect because you're an atheist or whatever have you. But on these other 4, do you agree? Well, all the rules in Islam and all of the concessions in Islam are there to safeguard these things. Now, does democracy provide a solution? No. Mental health is on the rise. Does it provide a solution for family problems? No. The family is breaking down. Does it provide a solution for what? For poverty? No. Like people, like, how are we in a first world country and the poverty line is just increasing? And the amount of people that are out of jobs, that are broke in the streets, is just increasing. And even those who got money in the bank account, inflation is increasing and is taking away the purchasing power of their wealth. Like, bro, you don't have no solutions, bro, so they can't really talk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it's crazy you said that. 'Cause I was gonna actually ask what your stances were on like polygamy, especially like modern times. I mean, there's 2 ways, right? People are doing it anyways. They got a girlfriend, mistress, wife, right? But you know, there's a legal way now. I mean, not really in the West, but you know, having multiple wives. But the next question I wanted to ask you is, obviously, I'm sure you have a religious standpoint on this as well. But what do you think is a damage, especially because you're working with these young men, sometimes even these juveniles? What do you think is a downfall of men, especially young men, consuming pornography, right? Because that's another big thing. The masculinity movement is they preach, like being a man, being a provider, but it's also the side of like, avoid. They have the no fap movement where like they don't self please themselves and don't watch pornography. What do you think the permanent damages are on like not just the religious side, that could be its own thing, but on the mental side?
Bro, crazy damages. Look, one of the things I do a lot of marriage counseling, because when you do Dawah, the biggest thing that comes to your desk is relationship issues. So let me break it down to you this way. We've seen Terminator, right? Everyone's seen an action movie. Everyone's seen some kind of superhero movie. Spider-Man firing webs, jumping from building to building. Superman catching a bullet, picking up a train. We all know that's fake. That's fantasy. That's acted out. Yeah. Right? That's acted out. Like it's actually, a man can fight. A man can, take a few punches. A man can get knocked down and get up. A man can fight 2, 3, 4, 5 people at a time. Maybe if he's really skilled in the art of physical combat. But there's a limit. And obviously the movies, they play on the fantasy of a person, on a person's ability. And they fantasize things. Like what you're seeing is fantasy. A man catching a bullet, a man jumping off a building, getting shot, standing back up. And this is all not real life. So imagine I walk into a street fight situation, right? I've watched a movie. Someone pulls out a gun and I say, I'm going to catch this bullet. Imagine I had no sense of reality when it comes to combat. The only reality of combat I had was the fantasy that I had seen online. Yeah. I would be killed. My expectations would be extremely high. My disappointment would be extremely high. My mismatch with the fantasy and the reality would lead to my potential death. Definitely, I wouldn't be able to hold my ground in a fight. Likewise, when you're watching pornography, what people don't realize that this is fantasy. The positions that these women are in, okay, the things that these men are doing with them, whatever that is taking place is acted out. This is a movie. Moves have been acted out. Does that make sense? Now, when you're used to that, like, look, let me keep it real with you, okay? I'm a married man, okay? You guys are men, maybe married. If not, I ask Allah to give you many wives. The point of the matter is that when we talk about sex, for example, there are like hundreds of positions. But the overall majority of those positions are impractical in the bedroom and actually don't bring you pleasure. Like the most there are really, it comes down to 3 positions. It's from the back, right? Not in the anus, but penetrating the woman's front from the back, which they call doggy style. Sorry for being a bit direct. Then obviously there's what you call the missionary position, and then there's what you have the woman on top, and they have slight variations. Now what is going to be the most pleasurable? That research was done and showed that the most pleasurable position in terms of facilitating climax for the woman as well as the man. sorry.
Yo, Umar, bro, come on, man, get together.
Don't worry, we're good. Don't worry, we're good. It's an interesting topic. I know the lads, they like this one. The point is like a man would think. What would you think? What would you think is the most pleasurable position?
I don't know. I guess it depends, right? Like,
just take a guess. Like we've had conversations with guys that are married.
Bro, I want to see from the back, but if I'm assuming scientifically, I'd say missionary. Face connection.
Yeah, I think it's missionary.
It's missionary. Like scientific research has shown missionary, but then they'll tell you that's vanilla. They'll tell you that's. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But here's the thing: you've gone into watching this woman arch her back and do backflips to the guy in bed, and it's like, bro, that's not pleasurable for the woman. It's not pleasurable for you. It's acted. There's angles. There's cuts. There's takes. But here's the thing: you've seen that, and that's all you've seen. And you've been living off that for years. You've got neurological pathways that you've built in your mind and to your orgasms that you've been forcing with your hand to that visual, which doesn't exist in the real world. So you're disappointed when you come to your wife in the bedroom, which ultimately leads to dissatisfaction, which will lead you to cheat or to go back to porn. Bro, you're married. You got a woman in your bed that you can sleep with tonight, and you're going to watch porn? But here's the thing. Your mind is what? Has been fried through that process. It's a sad story. Like, for example, so it's like, look, from the rear, that's more pleasure. Like, women enjoy that. Definitely, like wives would enjoy that with their husbands, but that's more for the man because it's a dominating position for the man. And of course, if husband and wife are into it, like it can be pleasurable for her, of course. And obviously everyone's the same. Not all not everyone's the same. Not all five are the same. People are different and their bodies react in different ways. Some women will say, well, I don't really like the mystery. No worries. But the point is that I'm just trying to show people that it's a lot more basic than what you would think. And watching porn just destroys. It just destroys your mindset. You're going to be dissatisfied. You're going to be anxious. This leads to, erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, not even being able to ejaculate at times, just pure dissatisfaction. And that's so sad.
Yes.
You know, and again, that shows you the beauty of Islam. Like people be fighting, porn, it's my right, I can watch whatever I want. Bro, you're destroying the concept of marriage. And what people don't realize is that there are certain industries that the porn industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, bro. They don't care if your marriage is being broken down. They don't care if you don't actually get to enjoy intimacy in the bedroom. They just want to take your money at the end of the day. It's a drug. It's like weed just kills you. Cocaine will just kill you. But the guy selling you drugs doesn't care. He's just getting his cut at the end of the day.
Yes.
You're going to get your high, but then you're going to come back down to your rubbish life. So that's why it's important to get over it and not even get into it in the first place.
Wow,
Wow,
that was actually the most eloquent way I've heard it being described.
Yeah.
Like, you hear fluff, right? You went into facts, details.
We talked a lot about, I guess, like spirituality, religion, masculinity. Let's talk about money, man, because a lot of people, what drives the world, right? Money. So let's talk a bit about like business, your businesses, and yeah, Umar, let's take it away.
Yeah, so we want to ask, obviously, you've always been in the business space when it was back in the studio days and now in the education space. When, or I guess I should say, what kind of got you into the monetization of the Islamic education space?
So I feel like I've been an entrepreneur ever since I was a little kid. I remember when I was 6, my parents bought me this little set where you can like sell things, and I used to buy sweets from the shop and make my cousins and family members buy when they would come. I remember when I was 13 years old, I would stock up my locker in school, and there would sometimes be a queue outside my locker bigger than the cafeteria, the canteen. I've always had that mindset. So when it comes to the religious side of things, so we have an online Islamic education institute, which people obviously do pay to be a part of, but that's not a business. That's for all intents and purposes, that's a non-for-profit organization. It's not officially registered as a non-for-profit organization, which we're in the process of doing. The reason for it is because we didn't want, in the UK we have something called Charity Commission. And the Charity Commission, it regulates quite strictly what you can do and what you can't do. So they kind of silence people whose opinions are not in line with their own opinions. They're very pro, certain agendas. So a lot of Islamic organizations who were run as charities were getting shut down because they were collecting donations. So we still wanted to do a project which was called the Ummah, not one that necessarily we're trying to make money off. But obviously every project needs money to run. So instead of collecting donations, we'd make people pay for the tuition fee. And although in the past I have taken away from it when I used to work for that project, now I think I have a team in place. I still oversee it. I still make sure everything runs smoothly, but I don't make a penny from that project. And any of the official shareholders don't take any cuts or anything for themselves. We just have a team, staff, we pay the teachers, we do the marketing. So it's non-for-profit. So I've always had other businesses that I've been doing behind the scenes. I had a digital marketing agency. I've got an app called Sunnah Match, which is a matrimonial service where, with all of these apps out there, we try to do things the proper way. Currently, the app is just going through some, we actually maxed out the capacity a couple months ago. So we weren't expecting to have 3,000 users so quickly. So obviously when you build an app, you have to create with a certain infrastructure to be able to handle that much traffic. So the app kind of crashed. So now we're in the process of refixing it, fixing the UI, the UX. So in a few months, that's going to be up and running. And that's going to be big, inshallah. We also have an Umrah company. We've got a few businesses, stuff that we do behind the scenes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, 'cause I always wondered, what's it called? Especially now as an adult, right? Because because there's nothing wrong with obviously monetizing it. I know from back in even the Prophet's time, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe not his time directly, but in the time of the Tabi'ins, they were teaching each other how to read Quran and stuff, right? So there's nothing inherently wrong about selling education, especially whether it's Islamic or not. But it's interesting that I thought it was a monetized front, but I guess everything's getting reinvested back into the community.
You know what it is? The default is that when you do da'wah, you shouldn't charge for it. Like the prophets, they will say, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا. They will say, we never asked you for any payment for what we do. Every prophet had a job.
Yes.
Prophet Noah was a carpenter. Prophet Dawood was an ironsmith. The Prophet Muhammad was a businessman. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam, may peace and blessing be upon them all. So the prophets always taught us to not leech off the message. But of course, in this day and age, if people need bills to be paid. So if I want someone to help in the community, to teach people the religion, we're also going to facilitate for them. But I just didn't feel comfortable. Although there was a time I did take payment, I felt like, look, I've got so many other avenues to make money, and I want to. And obviously, I don't want to be like, driving a Range Rover and people are looking at me saying, "Oh, so that's the mosque money." I'm thinking this off my own heart, this off my back. Like, you know what I'm saying? With the truth of Allah. When I said my back, it was all from Allah. He's the one who gave me this and blessed me with this. But my point is that was my hustle, my grind. So, yeah. And
right on. Yeah, because
that's the thing. One of the reasons why I feel like so many brothers, they listen to me on the Brothers Club when I teach them how to make money, because everyone was like, oh, like you could have used your image as a Islamic, speaker and educator to make money off that. But you, in these 10 years where you've been giving that, or you've actually been running businesses behind the scenes. People are like, oh, so you it's not like you made a platform, got rich off the religion. Like, all my businesses, I've been doing them from before.
Yes. No, you know what's crazy actually? A sheikh, what's it called? This is what actually really got me into watching you opposed to some of the other, more notable, famous, educated, whatever, older scholars was and this is well before time of Andrew Tate or all this, is you're just very polarizing. It just sounded like you didn't, lack of better words, you didn't give a F, right? And you just said what you believe was the truth and from what you were studying. And I really drew to that because where everyone's saying, oh, do this, you're going to go heaven, fairies, 70 virgins. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But when you're confused, you don't know, is this just a bunch of, stuff someone's telling you so you can believe in this? But then I remember watching specifically, it was, you probably, a lot of people probably say this to you, but it was your Ramadan video. I think it was Eid, Janrath, and you're out and you're doing Dawah and the guys outside the shisha place. And that was probably the most impactful video because I probably watched it like 10, 15 times, maybe over, like not literally once, but over a time. And it's crazy because you were literally, there was no, pearly gates and promises. Like, no, brothers, you guys are going to burn in the fire. Like, if you don't fall. And it was such a polarizing message. And I feel like, in a way, you shot yourself in the foot because, the typical speaker fee, if you want a speaker fee, you got to say what they want you to say. Maybe they want to push agenda. They want, sell tickets, make it easy, lighthearted. But I realized from young age, I'm like, nah, this guy doesn't care. He's speaking the truth. And it was to a point where even, after watching your content, I started getting a masjid, mosque, whatever. And I remember the guys in the mosque too were saying, no, don't watch this guy. He has polarizing opinions, yada, yada. But it was interesting. It was interesting because even though my Quran teacher was telling me this, and I respect him. I respect my teacher as well. But it was like, I'm like, trust me, there's something in him that is just like, I don't know how to describe it, but like he's telling the truth, and I could tell inherently. Either I'm super naive, or like it's just we all have, as men, we have that radar. Like, this he's spitting game, or this guy's just BSing, right? And I felt that with you.
Obviously, it seems like you know what you're doing when it comes to business, and there's a lot of people that look up to you for business reasons as well. What would you say is like the best advice for men who want to start in business?
You know what it is, bro? So first and foremost, it's important that we get our relationship with money right. Like what is money good or is it bad? Like, a lot of the things people don't realize, but there's foundations to it. Like I can start up a business today. I can have a great idea, or I can, for example, I can be a great trader. There's guys that trade crypto, whatever have you. He's rich today, tomorrow he's lost everything. Guys start revenge trading. There's a thing called revenge trading. When you lose trades and you just end up in a cycle. Or okay, you made a meal, 2 meal today, tomorrow you don't know how to manage that money, you're back broke. Like we've seen people that made a killing, and then they're on government support. A year later, what happened? There's a lot of foundational issues. So the first thing for me, where it starts, is what's your relationship with money? Is money good or is it bad? So I like to educate, especially in the Muslim community. There's a lot of misinformation. People feel like it's good to be poor. That's wrong. They even use certain statements that they attribute to the Prophet Muhammad, which are weak. They're not authentic to him, about how poor people are going to go to paradise 500 years before rich people. And that's incorrect, because Allah told us in the Quran, He made the Prophet Muhammad wealthy. Like we already established, he wasn't going around, living luxurious. He would spend the money on the poor and the needy, and he lived a very humble life. But he had money to give. That's why he gave it. So the first things first, I let people know money is like a knife. I can use it to spread butter, or I can use it to stab someone. I can use money.
Wow.
Yeah, I can use money to provide for myself and my family, so we're not poor in the streets. I can use money to buy champagne. I can use money to take care of my wife. You can use money for a prostitute. You can use money to build, youth centers, masajid, educate people, teach people Quran, give charity. You can use money to flaunt your wealth and show off, and whatever have you. So, money comes down to your heart. It comes down to your state of your heart. If your heart is good, then what you do with the money is going to reflect what's in your heart. If my heart is good, I'm going to give charity. If my heart is good, I'm going to use my money to help people. If my heart is evil, I use that money for evil. And I look at the religion, what the religion says. So what people don't know is actually a hadith of the Prophet. Many scholars authenticated it, where the Prophet said, seeking halal provision, like permissible wealth provision, is actually obligatory. On every Muslim man. Because imagine, if you don't have money, you're going to be begging someone else, and if you're begging, and if you're not making your money, you're putting pressure on the rest of the community and society. Now, of course, we're told to take care of the poor person, but that's when he doesn't have the option. He's trying, but he's just not making ends meet. But no one should be a bum. So we're told to actually go out there, and we're told we're actually sinning. We're told that if we're in a situation where I can make money and I don't, I'm sinning. Because I've got a wife I need to provide for. So people need to see it also as a religious obligation. Like, even when you look at the books, when you study Islamic law, the first thing you study is the prayer, how to pray. You learn zakat, which is the charity that we have to give every year. Then there is the fasting in the month of Ramadan, the pilgrimage, Hajj. Then the very next thing is money. We get our relationship with money. We learn what's halal, what's haram, what's a permissible transaction, what's not a permissible transaction. So we get our relationship with money. And I like to give examples from the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, from his companions. And I actually get offended with someone poor, because with all due respect, he's our leader. He's teaching us how to handle money, and you're telling me he doesn't have money. Like, you're telling me he doesn't know money. He wasn't exposed to money. That doesn't make he was. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So we get our relationship with money right. That's the first thing, and also to let people know that money. What is it? It's a tool. That money's a tool to get what you need. Like, look, me, I don't aspire to become a billionaire. I'm not saying it's bad to become a billionaire, but I firmly believe that if I wanted to, I could. But that's not my life goal. Like, I have a goal. I want to educate myself in the religion. I want to be able to be free, so I can help people, so I can teach people about Allah, about the right way of life, take them out of the darkness, put them towards the light. That's what I want to do. I just realized my money needs to be right in order to do that. I realized that my wife can't be stressed, my kids can't be stressed, I can't be living paycheck to paycheck. Not just that, how we talked about earlier, you said that, that I kind of say things that it seems like I don't really care. But one of the reasons is because my da'wah is not where I get paid. A lot of these guys, forgive me for mentioning, like Umar Suleiman, you may have heard of these guys. Like, these guys get big grants from the government. Their pockets are full, right? And they know that if they leave a certain narrative and they start pushing LGBT, or not directly pushing it, but they kind of assimilate with those indirectly. They kind of, tolerate it and create, space for that narrative to spread amongst the Muslims. If they don't do that, their funding gets cut. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? As they say, the Matrix, they can't get me. but I don't make no money from the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? I have the market separate. So my thing is that My
Yes.
thing is my da'wah was completely separate. Like I actually fund my da'wah sometimes myself with my own money. Not all the times. Sometimes, I've got brothers that contribute because they see it as a community thing. But my thing is you can't cut my life support from that angle. So I realized my money is great. And I
Wow,
work
yeah.
harder than the average man to get that money because I know about inflation. I know
Yes.
about recession. I know
Yeah.
that what I have today, like one of my family members saved hundreds and thousands of pounds and he's been saving for the last 50, 60 years. And I feel so sad when I look at it because I think to myself that those hundreds of thousands of pounds could have bought you 5, 6, 7, 8 beautiful houses in London 30, 40 years ago. Today you
Yeah.
won't even be able to buy one. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like, so I don't want to be that guy that just stacks money over 50 years. Like, I don't want wealth to be a problem for me or for my children. And I myself,
Yes.
like I said, that requires money, right? So I want to be in a situation where there comes
Yes.
a day when I don't have to charge people to run a data project. I'm able to say, you know what?
Yes.
I'm funding this myself. So it comes down to your objective.
Yes.
I let people know what is the objective that you're trying to reach that money is a vehicle for. Money can't be gold. Money can't be the goal. The
Yes.
third final thing that I let people know is that just because you have money doesn't mean you're going to paradise. And just because you struggle with wealth doesn't mean that you're going to paradise. Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Quran, He tells us some people like suffering with money, it actually helps them get to paradise. Because Allah knows the person, if he had money, he would go loose. Another person, Allah knows, if I don't give him money, he's good, and he's stressed. He's gonna leave his religion to get that money. So, based on Allah's wisdom, He opens the door for some, and He closes doors for others. So for us, it's like there could be rich people that go to hell, and poor people that go to hell. Rich people go to paradise, poor people go to paradise. The key here is I've got to have a strong relationship with my Lord. I've got to call upon Him. Does that make sense? So He makes it easy for me to get that money. I've got to know that really the money is with Him. He's the provider. He's got it all in His hands. So if I want it to be a blessing, I've got to get it in a halal way. If I get it in a way that's not halal, by selling drugs, by cheating, fraud, interest, these things, I'm going to get it in a haram way. I still get it, but now it's not a blessing, it's a curse. So these are just some preliminary matters. Then, once you got your head right, there's a million and one things you can do. I always start off by telling people, find a niche in the market. Find something that no one else is doing. Because nowadays, everyone just wants to copy and paste. It's funny. We set up the Brothers Club. Yesterday, I saw an Instagram page pop up called Rijal Club, which means the club of men. Like, it's copy and paste. Like, we set up an Umrah company. Everyone else starts setting up an Umrah company. We set up a matchmaking service. Everyone, like, right now, there's a friend of mine in the UK who's set up a luxury Moroccan clothing business, and it's going crazy. Like even influencers from all around the world, football players are wearing his stuff. Like, it's blowing. MashaAllah, he's doing really well. Everyone sees him, and there's another friend of mine I have who also set up a Moroccan folk company, and he was in his niche is like, urban street guys. Both of these two guys started to blow. When they started to blow, everyone wants to set up a Moroccan folk company. So my thing is, don't copy and paste. Because you'll never be Coke. You will never make a soda that's going to sell more than Coke. You know what I'm saying? You're never going to set up a delivery company that's bigger than FedEx. That's bigger than FedEx. You're never going to create a phone or a technology company that's going to be, in this instance at the very least, this generation, better than Apple or Samsung. What you have to do is find a niche. I mentioned the Samsung. You don't worry.
I had to start with the Samsung gag.
They say Samsung people are more intelligent than us iPhones. I don't know. That's what they say.
Ooh, I like that clip, bro.
But what it is what's the niche in the market? And you can always twist things. Like, you can always make something slightly different. I was talking to one of our members on the Brothers Club. He's a guy that's an expert when it comes to social media marketing. He's got a company called Ad Talk. It's all about TikTok marketing. So when I was speaking to him on the phone yesterday, and he's one of our very good, like high value kind of members along about it. So shout out to him, Brother Sufyan. So when I was speaking with him, he was telling me, listen, I do the whole thing, Facebook, Instagram marketing. I'm very good at it. And those people who know marketing will tell you TikTok, the conversions on that are not nearly as great as Instagram and Facebook. But he said the reason why I pushed TikTok as my primary thing and people don't even know that I do Facebook, Instagram marketing is because that market has got so many people. TikTok, digital marketing agencies are far and few. That's our standout.
Yes.
That's our distinguishing factor. That's our purple cow. That's where we catch people's attention. So, okay, you're a digital marketer, but make it a bit different. Or sometimes you can make it different with regards to the niche that you reach out to. Like, we've got another guy who's part of our Brothers Club. He's got a tuition company. Like, everyone's got a tuition company, tutoring kids. I said, look, you're a Somali. Why don't you call it Smart Somalis? The Somali community is very interested in the growth, especially here in the UK. They're very interested in the growth of their children. Parents put down a lot of money to see their kids succeed. So, you know, that's a niche, that's a demographic. Literally, any Somali would be way more likely to send their kid to you than another tuition company that's got so many more stripes and ratings, but just because they can't relate, because you speak half that niche. So you got to find, how can I adapt what I do? Like, you're a PT, you're a personal trainer. How can I be a bit different?
Yes.
How can I address a different crowd? How can I just do things a little bit differently? So, you know, and if people are short for ideas, I always encourage them. I had a mentor that once, you know, told me, you know, spend late nights with Google. And if you're stuck, find whatever it is that you're doing, whatever skill or business or product or service you're trying to provide, and spend late nights with Google. Spend hours and hours just looking at everyone else in that industry. Not to copy and paste, but brainstorm ideas. Ideas will spark. Look at what works, what doesn't. And then write that down. Ask yourself, what can I do? How can I twist things? You know, maybe you take something from here, something from here, something there. If I took everything that one company does, that's copy and paste. But if I take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, that's cross-industry thinking. I'm bringing something from that industry over here to this industry. So, you know, you just got to be creative. You got to be creative.
Yes. That's big, because you said some really big, important points that I hope didn't fly over people's heads. So I want to quickly summarize real quick, just in case you missed it. Two big things for the listener to take away from this was, the first thing he said is the copy paste strategy literally never works. And if it does, it has to be a very booming industry, and you'll ride a wave, and then it's going to crash. You make nothing, right? So if you copy someone, the best you could be is number two, because that person's already the number one, right? That's big. So take that in. The second thing is, and I really like this as you said this, because I've obviously implemented this in my social media strategies and in the business we do here, is you have to niche down. And sometimes in business, it makes sense to not just niche down, but niche into a specific community. My boy Radies does this very well on TikTok, for example. He makes content around his ethnicity, which is Tamil. He was making TikTok, wasn't doing so good. Now he makes TikToks, same TikToks, but slightly different so it can fit into his community. 5x the results, right? So community is absolutely massive, whether it's in business or it's in, you know, social media content creation, whatever space you're in, you have to niche. And then kind of like micro niche in a little bit as well. So you get that edge on your competitor, because there's hundreds of offers, there's hundreds of services, right? Why should someone pick you? Why should someone watch you? Because you need to have that unique edge. So Brad, I love that, bro. And it translates so perfectly, because what we want to ask you next was, if you had to start from zero, what would you do now? So you have all the information, but no fame, no one knows your name. It's just
no businesses, nothing.
If I was to start from zero, I would set up a digital marketing company from the beginning. That's what I would do. That's really my area of expertise, is online digital strategy. So that's, if I was to go right back down to the basics, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. Yeah.
Okay.
Even what I do is, you know what I like, again, you know what it is, that's the thing. So what gives me the edge when it comes to digital marketing space? I'm not gonna be the best guy when it comes to running ads. I find that stuff boring. I'm not gonna be the one that's gonna run the copy for your email marketing campaign. My thing is, I come up with the strategy. And if I have to write the copy, if I have to run the ads, no problem. But the thing is, that's my edge. Like, when someone, when I used to do consultations, and even now I do consultations, but so far a few because of time. What they call me is for strategy. Actually, it's a funny story. I remember there was a company that wanted me to work for them one time, and I really didn't want to work with them, but because I had a relationship with those that were involved, I said, okay, you know what? Let me offer my services just to help out. So everyone was talking about who's going to have what role and who's going to do what. So basically, when it came down to it, I was like, look, I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. And you want me to be passionate about what I'm doing. So don't place me in charge of finances. I I don't find numbers passionate. It's not something I'm going to wake up in the morning and be excited to come and talk to you about. Don't give me the managerial role, even though I'm actually good at it, but not to do it. Don't, give me what I'm good at. They wanted to give me something else. I said, my thing is, I'm strategy. Yeah, that's my thing, strategy. I will come up with the most craziest strategy for you. Marketing, promotion, business idea, sales strategy, even strategy of how to manage the employees and bring the best out of them. That's my thing. So they were having a hard time understanding what it was. So when they broke it down, one question, they were like, so really, they're telling you all you're going to do is come up with ideas. So they laughed at me. They laughed at me. And I remember getting quite offended. I was like, okay, so you think it's that easy to come up with ideas, right? You think coming up with, and now we know that something like only like when you look at people in the workplace, they divide into 3 categories. Majority of people are doers, 7% are delegators, managers, they've got good leadership qualities, and something like 3% are creative visionaries. I do 2 things. People ask me as a CEO, what do you do? What does a good CEO do? I said, number 1, it comes up with strategy. Really ideas, but it sounds a bit more cool when you say strategy. Number 2, I solve problems. I'm a problem solver. Every day I sit at this desk and problems come my way. Problems with regards to the finances, problems with regards to the marketing, problems with regards to the team, problems with regards to this. We reach our target, didn't reach our target, this campaign's not working. My job is to problem solve. That's what the CEO does. And the reason I can problem solve so well with the permission of Allah and through His grace is because I'm good at coming up with ideas. So alhamdulillah, I run this operation of that. That's what I do. So all day, every day, ideas.
Right on. That's fire, man.
Oh, that's good. So another thing I guess we want to ask is so we're seeing, I guess, a shift, right? So right now it's kind of evident that the whole creator economy, the online info products, that whole industry is just booming, right? And I don't think we're going to see the slow down, especially with the lockdowns for COVID and everything. We saw everyone learning online. And if you want to learn anything, you could literally just go onto the best university, which is YouTube, right? YouTube is its own university. You can learn anything, right? Now, everyone has their, I guess, skill sets, right? Like certain people might be very good at sports, it might be music, it might be business, it might be sales, whatever that may be. But do you believe that everyone should be selling some sort of online information?
I don't believe everyone should be selling it, but it's definitely a very lucrative market, especially if you don't have capital to invest in products. You can start off a service-based business, and education is a service. Literally, with hardly very little investment. I'm big on branding. I believe that your branding has to be great. You should invest in serious, artwork, logos, posters, themes for your social media website. So if you've got that money, I would put it there definitely. If not, you can build up the lean startup process. You can add and gradually increase, the quality of your branding. But that is something, what people don't realize, that everyone's got a skill that someone else is willing to pay for. The other day we met a brother who came to do the plumbing in our office, and when we went on his website, he mentioned a bunch of tasks that he does. Like, he's a guy, you call him out for anything, you pay him, he'll do it for you. So he'll go shopping for you, and will charge you hourly rate to do your grocery. He will stand in line for you. Like, when the new iPhone comes out, he will stand in line for 2-3 days. He'll charge you £30 an hour. He'll do that for you. Like, as in, everyone can stand in line. He found a niche in the market, and there are people that are willing to pay. I'm telling you, if I really cared enough about getting an iPhone on time, I would pay someone to stand in line for me, because I'm big on standing in line.
For sure.
Like, if I could pay, I actually considered calling him the other day to do my groceries, because I was running late, had a meeting, and I wasn't going to be able to make it in time to get diapers, what you would call diapers for my daughter. So I was actually going to call the guy. You know what I'm saying? So everyone's got a skill or a service they can provide. You don't have to have a degree from university. You don't have to have crazy experience, but you just have to be in tune with yourself and know what you have to offer. But at the same time, I would also say, don't just start selling education or a service or some type of content and you don't know what you're talking about. I'm a big believer in
Yes.
invest in yourself. You know me, I studied law at university and I didn't pursue a legal career at all. But what I did was I educated myself on business. I read. No, it's not just enough to read. You got to find a mentor. You know,
Yes.
and you got to pay for these mentors, man. I paid £2,000 for a 5-day program where I found a Muslim mentor in the business space who was really groundbreaking the things that he was teaching, and I benefit from him so much.
Yeah.
I signed up, paid another £2,000 again to repeat the same program just because I wanted his energy and his presence, and I learned so much.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
from those 10 days that I spent with him, and I spent £4,000, which is, you know, a lot of my, I can think maybe about $5,000.
$8,000.
Yeah, like, bro,
Yeah.
till today, lessons that I learned from him, I'm navigating my businesses on the back of that. So some people are like, I can find this online, I can find this for free, I can read it. Definitely you can. But the practical side of that is necessary as well. I can read
Yes.
a workout routine online, but a coach is going to show me, no, listen, the grip needs to be a bit wider on the bar, you're not pushing your chest high enough,
Yes.
you know, your feet are not planted. Like, he's going to see things, the coach will see things others don't. So I always encourage people, go out there and learn, find a mentor. You can find mentors for free. You just got to prove your value. Like, even the way I'm running all of my businesses right now, it's actually very unique. I've decided to stop paying staff, to stop paying employees, because I had some issues with some employees. You know, me, I've always been conflicted with how I deal with my employees, because I've been bringing in people through the Dawah, like people that I saw needed a chance, so I gave them a chance, and some of them were very grateful and performed great, but others took advantage of that chance, done very poor work, and the business ended up suffering. And I'm a man, I'm true to my word. So if I tell you I'm going to pay you, I'm going to pay you. And I don't get into fights with people over money. If you tell me, listen, I didn't do the work, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to pay you. I'm just going to pay you just so we don't have to beef. And I make excuses for people. So I was in a situation where I couldn't be cutthroat and say you're fired, because this guy's been watching my videos for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. He started practicing because of me, not because of me, but because of Allah. But I was the means. Then imagine I drop him tomorrow. It's going to be very heartbreaking. So I had to deal with things in a very sensitive way. Ultimately, I found
it's like a breakup.
It's very sad. It's very sad. And the thing is that, you know, I just had a lot of bad experiences. So I said to myself, right now, with all of my businesses, the way I'm going to run, I'm going to internships. I know what's going on. I know a person who spends a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months with me is going to learn crazy. Because with me, you don't just learn about business. You're learning about marriage, religion, the whole thing. Like, our office, bro, is a war zone for everything. Like, everything and everything comes in. Like, we even get people that are possessed with demons coming in. Like, at least once a month, they're going to come into contact with something like that. Like, we've got the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? So,
it's a Muslim world, bro.
You'll see the world. And plus, financially, you'll grow. And my thing is, people got to prove themselves to me. So 3 to 6 month internships. So currently, right now, like, we've got, and real recognize real, right? So we've got people, great skills right now, man, that are coming through, like sales, marketing, content creation, like cinematography, like the whole. Everyone's like, right now in the cinema app, we've got like 4 or 5 developers all working for free. You know how much it pay developers to work an app? But then I know how to negotiate. Like, you know, I show them how they can leverage a successful app for their portfolio, which is going to benefit them in the long run. You know what I'm saying? So right now, that's how I'm running everything in that way, because I want to see people's work ethic. I want to see what they can provide, because I know I'm true to my word. I'll give you the money, I'll pay you, but I want to make sure that, you know, you're gonna bring back way more than what we're investing in, which ultimately is going to benefit you and your growth. So that's how we're running the operation right now.
I want to quickly say, because there's 2 things from that, right? What are 2 things people can invest? 1, it's time. 2 is money, right? So if you can't invest in yourself, which everyone here, we all agree, investing in yourself is probably the most important investment you can make. If you don't have the money, because let's be real, £4,000, that's about, I believe, 6K or 7K Canadian. That's a lot of money, right? You don't just pull that out of thin air. That's a lot, that some people, especially if you're younger, that's a lot of money to invest. So what do you have? You have another asset, which is another valuable asset, time. So what do? Go and find people who are at a level that you want to operate at, right? So if you want to build a successful business, boom, go to Imran. If you want to become whatever, a footballer, go to a footballer and say, hey, I will literally work for you for free. And it's like, it's such a simple concept. Like, it's so simple. It's like the biggest life hack, biggest success hack. Boom, just work for free, learn everything. And you don't have to like pay $1, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's like a movement where people don't want to do that now. People are like, oh, working for free is stupid. I need to pay the bills. It's like, what do you mean you have to pay the bills? Like, that doesn't matter.
Let me
right?
give an example, my bro. So we got this one young brother who's doing some camera work for us. So my business partner Abu Bakr, you may have seen him on the social media with me. He's been suggesting something for years, which I didn't take seriously until recently, and this would be something that perhaps maybe might be able to benefit other entrepreneurs and business owners as well. So I'm not big on football, what you guys would call soccer. I really despise the game.
Yeah.
But there's two.
Oh, you don't like it?
Not at all.
Really? I was gonna ask.
No, I used to be into cricket back in the day, but now I'm the only sport I'm really into is combat. So I'm just.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just and I don't watch. I'd rather do so.
Good, bro. It's a waste of time, bro.
But we've got two teams: Manchester City, and we've got Arsenal.
Yeah, and United.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
Arsenal.
Manchester City and Arsenal. So Manchester City is known to be the rich club that buys all of the top players. Arsenal is known to build players from the bottom up. They get them into the youth division or whatever it is that you call it, and they build and they grow these great players. This is what I've been told. So forgive me if the analogy is inaccurate, but I hear a lot of people say this. So Abu Bakr was saying, look, instead of trying to hire the best cameraman, the best director, which is going to be expensive, they come with their own baggage, and there's issues of loyalty and whatever have you. Let's do like Arsenal, build like that. Recently, I decided to adopt that approach, which is why I've been doing what I've been saying. But obviously, when you do that, you've got to convince people to work for free at the beginning. And here's the thing. Like, what right do you have to charge me right now? Because I can actually go and hire someone who's more experienced, more qualified, going to do the job better than you. I'm giving you a chance. And if you'd only be so smart as to realize, as the Japanese, they say, the most expensive thing is that which is free. So actually, you're not giving me a service for free. I'm actually paying you with my time. I'm paying you with my advice. And because you've done something for me as a human being, I feel a natural inclination to reciprocate. So we've got this young brother. His name is Bilal. He recently set up an Instagram page called the Muslim Lens. It's called the Muslim Lens. So he's a cinematographer, and he wants his thing to be like the Islamic version of Vice. It's a wow idea, you know. It gets people head. He wants to document things in the Muslim community, all sorts of interesting, cool stuff. But he also wants to sell his services as a cameraman, so he can make his money out of that. So I said to him, listen, bro, give me 6 months for free, and I'm going to show you the world of business. I'm going to show you how to negotiate. Not just that, people are going to know you work. People are going to know you work for us. People are going to see you on the social media. We'll share your stuff. Like, people will start to know that you are working for us. That will give you exposure. It will give you skills. It will give you insight to the world of business. You'll grow as a man. There's so much that you learn. So this kid, along that, has been working hard. So we tested him out. The first project we gave him was a 10-day, event that we were recording in December. I wanted to see his work ethic. His work ethic was good. He wasn't the best when it came to skill with the camera. He was more into editing. But I saw he was a good learner. He was learning at a good rate. Okay. So I said, you know what, this behavior needs to be rewarded. Look at that. I'm naturally feeling compelled to reciprocate. So we had a big project over in Dubai. We had to record some promotional stuff for our next course. And this can't go wrong. So I'm happy to spend money for this. Because this is a one-time, one-shot. If I spend all this money going to a different country to record some promotional material and you flop the job, that's the problem. So I'm happy to... we spent £10,000 on a Dubai promotional marketing campaign in January of last year. So I'm happy to put that money down. But I felt compelled to give him a go. I said, let me take him to Dubai. Let me show him, what he's going to enjoy. A nice So he spent the whole week in luxury hotels, in suites.
Wow.
He saw like 5-star dining. It's not like we were just living, like for the luxury life. He saw the spiritual side of things as well. He lived in our hotel room. He saw how he learned so much. And on the back of that project, he then launched his project, and he's already got people shouting him for like work. Now imagine we charged him for the first job. Okay, a couple £100 I paid you is done. That's what you get. Now you get exposure, you get skill, and he's now getting in touch with him, saying, "Bro, when are you free?" And he's saying, "Look, I'm not free because he's working for us. He's not getting paid, but So now I already told him, listen, the next project I'm flying, and he's a 20-year-old kid in university, but I'm flying him around the world now because as potential.
Nice.
Do you know what I'm saying? So if only people realize, like we got another guy, we got a sales guy from America. This brother's got his own business. He's well-to-do, in shape, married, kids, grown man. He saw that there's still room for growth, and he said that he spent time with Grant Cardone and his stuff and whatnot. And when he joined the Brothers Club, he was like, "What you do is second." He's like, "This is different. This is in a Muslim community, and you actually back up what you do, and we're creating networks. So I can definitely see potential and growth here." So he said, "Look, let me run the sales for you without even taking a wage, without even being paid." Right? And bro, he killed it for us on our sales. So we were like, you know what? Definitely we'll give him a commission. Not only that, give him a reward, fly him out to Dubai, give him a little good time, show him the nice life. And if we carry on, well, you can work for us, we can make a contract. But the thing is that at the beginning, you got to reach out to people. If you're really about it, show them. And if you're not, say, look, I don't have the skill, but I'm a quick learner. Just let me in, I promise you won't bring you quality to your service. You know, you got to find ways to get in through the door and be willing to take a hit on the money today so you can acquire skills so you can kill it tomorrow.
Yes. Man, that was on the ball. Like, especially someone young getting started, like, take this information and actually apply it to your life, because you will see folds, man. What you just said there is crazy, because not only are these people learning, and I would imagine for someone like you, it'd be easy to get guides, but not only are you going to learn from some of these top tier people, but like you'll unlock experiences and stuff. And you know, the beautiful thing in life is like, whether you're religious or not, life is not magic, right? God is not just going to put blessings upon you. You have to go out there and earn it, right? So if you want to be wealthy, you want to have power, you want to have status, go and do things that are going to make you worthy of the status, right? Go be the guy. Just go be the guy who makes the money. It's such a big difference. You can't just sit and want. Everybody sits and wants, right? The difference is people actually go out there and go do, right? Talking about go out there and go do. And this,
before you get into that, I want to quickly say one thing too. One huge takeaway is, think about the people who are going to Imran working for free, right? They're not, because Imran said, I could give this guy a couple hundred pounds, whatever, but what is that? That is a transaction. As opposed to what they're actually building over a long period of time, that's a relationship. Right? And you know, with even in like salespeople and like real estate agents or property, whatever you guys call them over there, I forgot what it's called. But what you do is, instead of looking at people at a transactional perspective, you're building relationships with these people, and then you don't even have to ask for the sale comes to you, right?
Yes.
And another thing that's just like, this is the biggest, like, okay, this is like literally applicable information. If you right now are starting off, this is what you do to connect high-level people. Everyone nowadays is some sort of content creator. Whether they have a podcast, whether they make videos, whether they do whatever that may be. For free, go and chop up short-form clips of their videos, okay? This is what's working right now. Short-form clips, add captions, edit it nice. You're going to learn two things. One, you're going to learn how to edit videos. That's a high-income skill. The second thing you're going to learn is how to connect with people, and you send them videos. Say, hey, this is a video I made for you for free. How can I continue to do this? Because a lot of the times, these big people, they need editors. You guys don't understand. Finding a good editor is so hard nowadays. A proper editor is it's just a blessing to have. It's a huge commodity.
I've already got 2 editors, and I need a third and a fourth today. So you're not lying. Exactly. What you're saying is so true.
Yeah,
it's never enough.
No, it's like because they're so powerful and they're so important. Oh,
I just wanted to make one point. Some people. A lot of the times when you hear people talk about business, and I don't consider myself a successful businessman. I'm on the road to success. You know, business is
seeking success.
Yes, you know what it is. I heard something that Simon Sinek, you know, that he's an author. He said something so profound. He said, you know, you've got infinite games and finite games. A finite game is like football, basketball, where there are particular players and there's a time limit and there's a particular objective. In that game, there are winners and losers. When the time runs out, if someone won the game, someone lost the game. But that's a finite game. An infinite game is like marriage. There's no winner or loser. Stay in the game. You know, there's no time limit. At the end of it, the husband won, the wife. No, we both have to stay in this marriage and flourish. So it's an infinite game. Business is like that. No, there's no 10 years we're in and we won. No. I've got to remain in the game, and then my company's got to remain in the game after I'm done with it. So I don't see myself as having become successful. I'm on the way to success, and even if I compare my journey to others, there's heavens and earth between me and some people in this space. The infinite game. That's my point. It's not a week, a month, 2, 3. Like, I've been grinding, making £20,000 off of a campaign 8, 9 years ago. 3, 4, 5 years later, end up flat broke and having to leave my house and be homeless for a year. So you'll see ups and downs. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, as in, after being an entrepreneur who's making money, I lost it all. Ended up homeless, sofa surfing whilst my wife's pregnant, not being able to take care of her. Wow. But then I had to build myself back up. That's life. You know what I'm saying? So you have, it's not all glitz and glamour, and I don't know what's going to be around the corner for me tomorrow. The decree of Allah is obviously hidden. But the point is, be ready to work hard. Be ready, whether it's seeking knowledge, memorizing the Quran, your marriage. You know, even today, you know, the same way we talk about pornography, how it destroys the relationships between husband and wife in the bedroom, so do these rom-coms and romantic novels and movies people watch destroy the concept of marriage. Like, when me and my wife got married, it was a struggle. And I'm a better husband today, and she's a better wife today, 10 years later, than at the beginning. The beginning. So it's a journey. You have to be willing to fight.
Yes, man, it's so crazy you said that, bro. And it's actually very reassuring you said that, because, you know, even me and Radies, you know, we've been doing this entrepreneurial stuff for the past 4 years. Our real success was about 2 years ago, right during and after the pandemic. And last year was a brutal year, right? Alhamdulillah, this year just started. Things are starting to go pretty nice. But it's crazy how, like, literally, it's not just you, it's not just us. Every massive entrepreneur you hear about, whether it was Steve Jobs, Henry Ford, you name it, Donald Trump, they had these, like, massive growth periods and, like, crazy setbacks. And the names we mentioned today are only mentioned because they did it again, right? So it's so beautiful that we see someone out here who's a successful businessman, and then he's openly saying, I had to lose it all. I had a wife. I'm assuming the wife is with her parents. It's embarrassing. You had to send her back to her mom and dad. It's an ego trip. Now you're at your boy's place. Your boy's like, bro, you're here too long. Now you're at your next boy's place. It's like, it's hard in the moment, but now you probably look back at that, and that's probably one of the most beautiful stories. And that's what's making you a man. Like, you're like, I've been through this. And, like, that's, you know, it's like the bittersweet of the struggle is in the moment it sucks. Nobody likes being broke. Nobody likes having to ask their boy for $1, do some weird favors. Nothing haram, but, like, some, you know, just, you know, ends meet. But then and when you look back at it, we laugh at it, like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to do all this. And alhamdulillah, you know, things are good now. So it's beautiful we said that. What we want to jump into is, because I actually have a strong opinion about this, but I want to hear your thing, and it could be quick. We don't need to dwell too long. We already had you for a long time. Is what's your take on Andrew Tate? And not necessarily his message, because we touched on that already, but specifically him entering the folds of Islam, right? For me, I don't know. I really like Andrew Tate as a speaker, as a businessman. I think he's dope. Personally, when I saw the whole converting and now his picture of the Quran when he's leaving the prison and whatever, I'm like, I don't know, is this a political play? I don't know. What's your take? And it could be a quick round. It doesn't need to be in
Sure, bro. Well, like Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. The believers are brothers. That's my brother in Islam.
Yes.
And the Prophet Muhammad, he said, Al-Islam يَجُبُّ مَا قَبْلَهُ كَمَا قَالَ. Islam erases everything before it. So anything he did and said before Islam, for me, is a zero. I pay no weight to it. You know, some of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad committed great atrocities, and then they went on to become some of the most greatest, most moral, most ethical, most righteous men on planet Earth. So people can change. So as far as I'm concerned, as a Muslim, he's my Muslim brother. Number 2, you know, Islam erases that which came before it. Number 3, you know, again, he's going to make mistakes. It's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be smiles and frowns. It's a process. You know, there was a time when we didn't know how to pray, when we didn't know what was right, when we didn't know what was wrong. Yes, there are things that he does that are against Islam, or he may do that, or he may say even after his conversion that are against Islam. No problem. We know what the deen is. We know what's right. We know what's wrong. And he's not my role model. He shouldn't be any Muslim's role model. We have the Prophet Muhammad. We have his companions. We've got great scholars, great men. You know, something that the scholars always taught is that always attach yourself to the people that are already dead, because we know how they died.
Yes.
Today a man can change.
Yes.
He's straight one day, he's gay tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? He's broke one day, he's poor the next day. He's righteous, then he sells himself out and corrupts. He sells his soul to the devil. We don't know. So I'm going to stick to those that are already dead, because I know how they died. The examples of history.
Yeah.
Right.
History's
but
written.
Andrew Tate's my Muslim brother. You know, I have good thoughts of the Muslims. The Muslims are one community. We have to look out for each other. anything he done in the past, that's between him and Allah, and it's forgiven in the sight of Allah if he's sincere in his Islam. And any mistakes that he makes, we just got to be smart about how we deal with it. Because imagine if we're tough with him, we can push him away. Like being in the position that he was, the most famous man on planet Earth, having money, this. He didn't come. I don't feel like he needed Islam from a political standpoint. I don't feel like he needed Islam from a social media standpoint. Like at the very most, okay, he would have gotten to the Muslim community, but then he would have lost everything else. And he didn't really seem like he was trying to lose everyone else. I honestly feel like he did it because he believes it's true. Like whether he's the perfect, he's not definitely the perfect example, he's not the perfect role model, but he seems genuine. He didn't have to do this. And when you look at people that have, obviously I looked into him a little bit more after his arrest and whatnot. It just became a topic for sharing things. But when you look at stories of people who speak about him, they say that he was always heading in this direction. It was interesting. One of my friends told me he saw a podcast from a guy called Tommy Robinson, who's like a right-wing, like fascist kind of guy here in the UK. Comes across very anti-Islamic and whatnot. And he's from Luton, which is the same place Andrew Tate was raised, or where he started off his martial arts career. And he mentioned that he knows Andrew Tate from back in the day. And he mentioned he was very upset with Andrew Tate becoming a Muslim because this guy's anti-Muslim. But then he said that he was going in that direction anyway. So it's like people are not that surprised, the ones that knew him, that he came to Islam. So yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Didn't even, I don't know, is Muhammad Hijab he's your friend too, or you
I know
disappear?
I know him. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But
my bad. Because I saw he was on his podcast recently, so I don't know if you're still bumping shoulders with those guys, like Ali Dawah and stuff. You used to,
myself?
Right?
Yeah, I mean, you grow.
We'll leave it at that.
Cool. Yeah, for another time.
Okay, so Imran, we were gonna move into like a short fire round. So basically, we're gonna ask you like a bunch of more like I guess fun pop culture type of questions, and they're just gonna be like quick, like less than 60 seconds.
Okay, go.
So, the first thing I want to start off with is, how do you feel like we're seeing even in Toronto? I know the UK is big. Like we have a lot of similar slang in a way, but a lot of people are saying, oh, like wallahi fam, or like, oh, inshallah this, and like they're not like actually Muslim, right? How do you feel about that being more mainstream and just like a part of like culture almost? Like, what do you think about that?
Well, it shows the extent to which Muslims are influential. And that should really be encouraging for us. Obviously in places of influence, we just need to make it for the right reasons and not the wrong reasons. Like a lot of the guys that say wallahi are the drug dealers, because unfortunately the guys selling drugs with them happen to be Muslims saying wallahi. But if in a corporate circle, all the businessmen start saying wallahi, because they see Muslims successful in that sector or whatever have you, then we can possibly see that as a positive sign. So clearly we're influential. We just want to make sure we're influencing for the right reasons in the right way.
Right. Okay, nice. I like that answer, yeah.
That's fire. All right, and then the next one is, obviously you touched on this a bit already, but what's your intake on like investing/investments? What are you investing in? Because I know a lot of sometimes some Muslim guys, everything's haram, right? So,
bro, I'm big on investments, bro, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be in a situation where you're constantly working for money. It has to get to a point where your money works for you. Especially now, like I said, inflation, it goes up every year. Those who know about it, right? If not, I advise everyone to research.
If you know, you know.
Right, but it's like even if you're making more money, your money is not really increasing in purchasing power because the inflation rate keeps going up. So you've got to make sure you're making money and that money is making money for you. So me personally, I feel like there's two primary places for me to put my money, and that's in other businesses or Bitcoin.
Yes.
For me,
nice. Okay,
I mean, but not just crypto, just Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
The reason for that is because land, I won't put my money in purchasing a building or land, because at the end of the day, I'm subject to the legislation of that country, and I can't do what I want. Like recently, we saw what happened. Like I'm not pro-Russian in any way, shape, or form, because Russia done a lot of atrocities to us Muslim brothers and sisters in Syria and whatnot, so on and so forth. But with the bombings. But at the end of the day, I am a man who believes in justice. So you got these Russian oligarchs who they are wherever they are, but they've got properties in London, central London. When the war started, they got taken away from them. Now, whether they're good or bad is irrelevant. That's their property. So who's to say that tomorrow I can't become the bad guy and you take my property away? So for me, even gold is a great thing, but it's not liquid. It's hard to move. If I jump on a plane with more than £10,000 worth, you're gonna find me, tax me. Like Bitcoin, it's like it's a place to store my money. I can dollar cost average, so the volatility is not a problem, and the inflation rate going up crazy is volatile as well. So the volatility argument.
Bro, you're saying the words I like to hear, bro. You're saying the stuff I like to hear, man.
Literally.
Answer this quick time, yo. This could be its own click. So, Sheikh, you're saying Bitcoin is 100% halal, bro? It's not haram?
I'm not a sheikh, but definitely scholars out there who researched it, they presented that it was halal, and I'm with the view that it's halal. Some said it isn't, but I'm inclined to give view to scholars who said it's halal. Definitely, I don't see why.
Alhamdulillah. Perfect, bro. That's what, bro. Me, Radies, we're big crypto guys, bro. That's all we gotta do, bro.
I'm on Bitcoin here. I was looking for it.
I do want to say this as well, real quick. I know we're in the short term, but this is a quick short. My friend came over from Vancouver recently. It's perfect freaking timing. Okay, sorry. My friend recently came over from Vancouver, and we're just sharing some wisdom. The only thing I love about my entrepreneurial boys is we won't see each other 4 or 5 years. Then we come and we just, instead of how's the kids, how's the wife, it's like, yo, what you learned, bro? How much money you making now? All right, let's connect, bro. Teach me. And he said one really interesting thing that it's like it was common sense, but it was nice to rehear. With investing philosophies, right? You invest your money, and your money gets you babies, right? The returns, right? And he said what he learned was you take the babies and invest it one more time. And then now you have grandchildren money and use the grandchildren money. And he said that way, you always have 3 generations of money. And if you're always growing each generation, you'll get to a point where like you wouldn't need to continue investing anymore. That's a quick, dumbed down philosophy that anyone can use, Invest your principal. When you get the return, reinvest that, and then that return you can actually use. Reinvest that one more time, and then use the third return. So just quick, some fire.
I might have to use it myself. I definitely.
I've never heard that one before. Like, like literally like cool generational wealth.
Exactly. You make your own generational wealth, bro.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So next question we have here. So we kind of touched upon the 5-day event. Other than the 5-day event, what are some books, courses, or mentors that have actually helped you to get to where you are?
So, like I said, for me, like the most important thing, like for me, is the Quran. Like
I knew you were gonna say that
because like in there I learned Allah is the one who provides. And Allah tells me in the Quran, go out there and seek my provision. And He told me, look, if you do X, Y, Z, I'm going to give this to you. So that it has to be my starting point. Definitely the Quran. Not, like for example, there's a hadith the Prophet said, if you read Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the second chapter of the Quran, Allah will increase you in barakah. Now barakah is an Arabic word which means to grow and increase. So He will give you barakah in everything that you have, your wealth, your health, your children, your family, your happiness. Like it will increase. I found when I started reading Surah Al-Baqarah, like my whole life changed, my wealth increased. I literally went within a month and a half of reading Surah Al-Baqarah, I went to 6 figures. And I didn't even see it coming.
Time out.
Was that?
Time out. You're saying read the whole surah every single day?
Yeah, so the ideal situation is to read it every day. And it only takes 50 minutes once you get, at the beginning, if you're not proficient, it might take you a little bit longer, but now I can finish it in like 45, 50 minutes. Or at the very least, divide it into like maybe 2 halves, maybe 3/3. It should be a consistent thing, and I promise you'll see so much. Okay. Then after that, one of the most beneficial books that I read, from a guy that wasn't Muslim, was Tony Robbins' Unleash the Giant Within. I'll be honest with you, that book was groundbreaking. It was groundbreaking for me personally.
Yes.
The Magic of Thinking Big, that's also a great book. So those are 2 books that, like, as a starting point, it helps you get productive, thinking big. It's funny because the religion encourages like almost like so much of that stuff that he's mentioning. But yeah, definitely Unleash the Giant Within. That was a big book for me. Magic of Thinking Big was a big book for me.
Cool. No, I 100%. I was reading just actually the book I'm finishing right now is Unlimited Power, also by Tony Robbins, and his writing is just It's different, man. It's a much older style of English because I guess he published these a while back. But it's
and you know
it's
a third book I'll put on there.
books.
Like if we're talking about from the circle of the disbelievers, there's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yes.
Yeah. That book is
Yes,
fire.
And I actually basically broke down pretty much everything that he did in that book, except for the last chapter. I haven't finished it to that, and I found evidence from the Quran and Sunnah for pretty much most of the principles he was talking about. And the Prophet Muhammad did a lot of these things, and of course there's a balance and a way in which he would. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, in business you need to make sure you win friends and influence people. Every sale is an influence.
Yeah.
You know, your network, the people that you work with, your team. Bro, if people don't like you, they're not gonna buy. They're not gonna work for you. You know what I'm saying? So that book, big. I'm big on that book.
Bro, so hold on, bro. You gotta release that. What's it gonna be? Video series? You're gonna have your own Muslim version of the book? What's your plan with that?
I just did it for myself. On the Brothers Club, I summarized one of the chapters in like he mentions how to get people to like you. So I did that.
Yes.
6 points he mentioned. I went through 5 of them, and I mentioned like evidence from the Quran and Sunnah for each one. I'll send it to you, bro. I'll send it to you. Watch it.
Yeah, you guys, if you work for free, bro, you gotta work for free for 3 to 6 months, and you got it.
No. It's a gift, bro. Come on, I don't refuse that. It's a gift.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, man. Okay, so next question is controversial because I know how you feel about this already. But what's your take on Islamic music, man?
Yeah, so that's saying Islamic music is like saying like halal porn. You know what I'm saying? or like religious weed. You know what I'm saying? What's haram is haram. You know what it is?
Okay.
There's 14 authentic hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that mention music is haram.
Nice.
In fact, the Prophet actually predicted. It's so funny. People say no, it's actually halal, and they got it wrong. The Prophet predicted. The wording of the hadith is that a time will come where people in my ummah, my nation, will say music is halal. The hadith actually says that. So that's one. The second thing is, you know, in Islam, there are things that are differed upon, right? There's difference of opinion in some things. And then there's consensus, where no one differs.
Yes.
And when you find consensus in a particular interpretation, you can't oppose the consensus. Because that means the Prophet's companions never differed, and everyone who came after never differed.
Yes.
You're telling me 5, 6, 7, 8 centuries later, you came and understood the Quran better than the students of the Prophet Muhammad? So there's like a 5-century consensus that music is haram. There was a scholar called Ibn Hazm who made a mistake. He didn't see the consensus, and hadith wasn't his area of expertise. He mentioned one hadith is wrong, was weak, not knowing there's 13 other hadith, and then everyone else that came after ran with that mistake. So, you know, it's like in science. Sometimes studies are done, and what the research presented is presented either inaccurately or the truth is sometimes twisted. Other people don't know. They run with the research of their predecessors, do experiments based on that, not realizing that what they built their experiment on was false research or inaccurate findings. Just got trapped back and realized, someone made a mistake in the chain, and then we ran with that.
Okay, that's actually interesting. Okay, so another thing, we talked a bit off camera about this, like very briefly, but so you're talking about living in London, right? And we've recently seen. So I was telling you how I do not like it here in Toronto, just because of like it's not bad here, but I think for certain individuals, especially if you're like a creator or if you're an entrepreneur, there are probably better places to live. And I know Umar has always fantasized about moving to Miami because he doesn't want to pay taxes. I'm like, bro, just pay your taxes. And obviously, we're seeing a lot of people move to Dubai, right? And you even said yourself, like, you want to get out of here. You live close to the airport. What are your thoughts on moving to Dubai as like an Islamic country and no tax?
Yeah, so I'm currently not in the UK. I've officially left the UK since September last year. I've just been globetrotting between Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and I've been coming back to the UK for certain things and primarily work related. I'm currently here for another 2 weeks and then I'm gone again. I'm big on Dubai. You know, the UAE is big on it for a multiplicity of reasons. The one, it's a Muslim country, and most people they see, you know, when Dubai is promoted as a tourist place, people see the un-Islamic side. But what they don't realize is that when you come to central London, that's not London. That's where the tourists go. You know, however, where I live is London. In Dubai, there's Sharjah as well, which, you know, alcohol is haram and all of that. Also, on top of that, it's safe. I'm Pakistani and I would love to live back home, but it's not safe, bro. There's certain places in Pakistan, like, you have to stay strapped. You can't, you can't, like you're told, don't drive the car on this highway at this time. And if you do, make sure you're strapped and you've got a couple guys in the car strapped with you. It's just not safe. So being a family man, I want to have my kids somewhere where, you know, they're safe. And I'll be honest with you, I'm really, really, like, sick and tired of the way these Western countries tax you. Like, I really am. Like, bro, you're sucking my blood. Like, in the UK, VAT is 20%, and that's before my profits. And then I've got to pay payee tax. And then any money that I make from the company, I'm paying 20%. What? Company tax. And then I've got to pay tax on my wages. And if I'm in a higher tax bracket, you're taking half my wealth. And then as a shareholder, every time I take dividends, profits, you're taxing that as well. Bro, we're left with nothing. You know what I'm saying? Bro, it makes me sick. Like, this came out during COVID, that the slaves that were sold in the UK, one of the ways that the government got the slave market to free the slaves, not sell, to free the slaves, was by promising the slave masters that the government would reimburse them. Slaves at that time was property. So if you're letting the slave go, you're losing wealth. So the government said, pay you. Now, where did they pay them from? Taxpayers' money.
Taxes.
You know what's shocking?
Wow.
The last installment was paid just a few years ago. For over 100 years, taxpayers were contributing towards alcohol abuse, bombs that are going to be dropped over Muslim kids and even non-Muslim kids unjustly. Slave masters and their generation.
God.
Damn.
Yeah, Dubai is very good in that you get to take your money. Now, they are introducing various different taxes. I think the VAT is 5%. They're going to introduce some type of, you know, but it's going to be nowhere near. It's going to be nowhere near.
Yeah.
You know
it's crazy. It's crazy. But yo, the only issue with that is, like, because I mean, we don't really need to go into this in depth. But the only reason with, like, me leaving to Dubai versus me picking Miami, I think obviously Miami is not the best environment for a Muslim. I'm sure you make it work. But what's it called? The benefit is you're a 4-hour flight away from home. I live in, you know, my family's in Toronto. 4 hours, maybe even less than 4 hours actually. 3-4 hour flight home. Dubai would be like a 14-15 hour flight. So it might be a mission, but inshallah, we'll I guess research more before making out.
Have you been to Dubai?
Sorry?
Have you been to Dubai? Guys,
No, not yet.
I promise you.
I was in Saudi last year though, and I loved it, man. We were there December, January, and it was just epic. Epic.
Even
Environment,
growing.
food,
Like,
everything.
even like from a business perspective, Saudi, you know, opportunities are growing. I'll tell you something. I promise you, if you come to Dubai, you're not gonna look at Miami. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
No. Oh, for sure, inshallah, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna link you up one down there, yeah? Are you gonna take care of it, bro?
You know, there's a YouTube channel, there's a guy called The Nomad Capitalist. I'm not sure if you come across him. His thing is so interesting, yeah. He's all about how to legally take your residency status outside the US and set up your company outside the US legally to avoid taxes, right? And he does the whole thing legally, and it's so interesting because he's encouraging, and he only deals with the upper, like the upper echelon in terms of business. He's telling everyone leave the US. He's saying, and above and beyond the tax, he talks about the safety, the quality of life. And I remember he mentioned like 10 top countries to move to, and 3 of them were Muslim countries. If not more than that. He mentioned Malaysia. He mentioned Qatar. He mentioned Dubai. Pretty sure he mentioned a few others as well. And it's like even the kuffar are saying, "Yo, let's go to where the Muslims are at."
Yes. Right on,
it's
man.
like they convinced the kuffar convinced us, "Yo, stay in London. we're gonna go. We're gonna go Qatar. I'm saying, nah, bro. You stay. I'm going back home.
Yeah, crazy.
Oh man,
Crazy.
yeah, that's actually funny. Yeah, okay, so moving forward here, so we have something called the rapid fire round. But before we get into that, we just want to ask all our guests, do you have any questions for myself or Umar about just anything?
You know what? I just want to say, it's not more a question, more a statement. I actually really enjoyed this podcast. Like, this is probably one of our most memorable podcasts, and I just want to say you guys really come across great guys. I really wish you the utmost success in terms of your religion, in terms of your businesses, your wealth. I really want to see you guys prosper and flourish, man. So more than a question, I just want to express my gratitude. Like, I'm really grateful that you brought me on and invoked such an interesting conversation. Thank you.
No, thank you, man. We really appreciate that, and it's gonna get better from here because now we have our rapid fire round. Okay, so basically, you are only allowed to answer with one word. Okay, so we're gonna say a word or a phrase, and you're only allowed to use one word. First thing that comes to mind. Umar, let's go, Bran.
Let's go. All right. So the first word on the list is success.
Oh, challenge.
Work.
Failure.
Never.
Sales.
Always.
Social media.
Long. Very long.
Motivation.
Benefits, just...
Yeah. Sorry, next one there was motivation.
Easy.
Networking.
Essential.
Personal development.
Every day.
Okay, the modern man.
A joke.
Okay, this is another funny one. Feminism.
A lie. Literally, this is what's coming to my mind.
That's
I'm being honest. It's just...
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're doing it perfect, okay? This one's funny too. LGBTQ+.
Get out of here, man. Not long term.
Okay.
And trust me, just mark my words. Okay. Someone can come back, clip this out 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah.
The kuffar are going to come back and tell you not long term. They say, try, test, it didn't work.
Okay. Business.
Important.
Okay. Islam.
Truth.
Religion.
Essential.
Okay, right on. So the last two questions we have, I'm going to ask one, Radies is going to ask one. My question is the most motivating person of all time, but I obviously know your answer. You can say it yourself, but I want to add a tweet to that because I'm assuming you're going to say the Prophet ﷺ. So the tweet to that is, what's one hadith, and for the people who don't know what hadith is, what's one teaching of the Prophet ﷺ that you took and implemented into your life, like, or your favorite hadith, I should say?
Very hard to pick favorite, but in the context of our discussion, I'll tell you a very important hadith.
Yes.
And this is for everyone who's working on their deen, their business, every entrepreneur, even if you're not a religious guy, like, take this hadith. And it's a hadith that teaches productivity. The Prophet Muhammad told us to do 4 things. He said, number 1, ihris ala ma yanfa'uk. He said, work hard for that which is beneficial for you. Grind, work hard for that which is beneficial for you. Number 2, wasta'in billah. And seek help from Allah, because you can't do it alone. And number 3, wala ta'jaz, do not give up. So those 3 things. So work hard for that which don't work hard for that which is beneficial. Working hard in the drug game take you to jail. Working hard in mortgages take you to the hellfire because the interest. Work hard for that which is beneficial.
Yes.
Ask Allah for help. And number 3, do not give up. Don't give up. And the hadith actually mentions the fourth thing. And it said, and if it didn't work, don't say if only. Don't do that. Like, we don't live with regrets. We move forward. We learn lessons and we move. That is powerful. Just take that every day. Get up, work hard, seek help from Allah. Don't give up. If it didn't work, don't make excuses. Go back, work hard, start the process again.
No, that's so beautiful. I love how you're able, man. You're a quick thinker. How you're able to relate such a beautiful hadith, a teaching from the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, and relate that to this amazing conversation. Almost 2 hours we had with you, bro.
Yeah.
We really I think this is the longest one we did so far.
Yeah.
We might have the 2 parts or something. But holy smokes! All right, Radies, last question, bro.
Yeah. So this is the last question. The last question, and I think this is the most interesting question we usually have is, from the start of your life till now, let's just say that whole part of your life was put into a book. What would the title of the book be called?
Oh, that's a good question. A question that makes me think. One second, let me think about that for a second. The title of the book.
We got him, bro.
Yeah, we got him. I know he's cooking up a fire answer too.
You know what it is? If I had more, this is such a deep question. I also it's funny because you know why I'm able to give quick answers is because it's for stuff that I live. Anything that you catch me off guard, I like to take my time. Because the Prophet said hastings from shaitan, and I've seen hastiness get me in trouble in the past. So I'll give you an answer, but I believe I can probably come up with a better one if I gave it more thought. But for now, the title of the book would be Against All Odds.
Wait, sorry, say that again.
Against all odds.
Against all odds. Okay, nice.
Because when it came to my da'wah, like I never went to the University of Medina. I never went to an Islamic university and got a degree. I had to learn from teachers, from scholars, and grind. When it came to business, you know, I came out of the streets and I only knew how to make money illegally or in a haram way. You know, when it like. I'm not sure if you're familiar, maybe Umar's familiar, but there's a point in my life where I was probably the most hated man in the Western Islamic community because of just keeping it real.
Wow.
And everyone left me and no one supported, and our masjid and our events for consistently over 3-4 years have been the most packed out events. Like the masajid blocked me, cancelled me. Like I've been cancelled 5 times. And we're still the most efficient da'wah organization here in the UK. I can say that, and I don't think anyone could question that. Is everything that we've done has been against all odds. So I would have called that book. I would have called it Against All Odds. None of that happened through me. Allah is the one who gave me aid and assistance through every step of the way. But I would have called that book like on a human level. We would have thought, no, he's not supposed to succeed.
Yes.
Well, that's.
No, man, this episode was filled with banger after banger after banger. I want to obviously massively thank you for taking your time and giving us an extreme amount of time, man. I also add, awesome. Every single answer you had was so insightful. Yeah. I also want to just generally give you some flowers. I feel like men don't get their flowers enough these days. And I want to say what you're doing is absolutely amazing. You are obviously spreading the word of God, but the audience you're spreading to is the audience that wants to hear it the least. You're literally targeting the youth that is in the streets. I even seen, like, I noticed this, man. I pay attention to this stuff. I noticed even some of the events. I don't know if you did it. I think actually a couple months back, you even do giveaways in some of these events. Attend this masjid seminar and win a pair of Gucci kicks or something. And it's crazy because the marketing is genius. Who wants that, right? The kids on the street, right? So it's such a beautiful way. I want to give you your roses. You, of course, your team behind you. Inshallah, all of them get rewarded for these massive actions you're taking. You've been a massive role model in my life. And I can honestly say, I only look up to a handful of human people that are still alive, and you're definitely one of them. Whether it was a time you're being canceled or when I first came across you, the love was always there. So I just want to personally thank you, bro. May Allah reward you. May you be able to take this this knowledge and spread to the masses and even help even more people. And again, guys, especially if you're in London, man, whether you're Muslim or not, see if you could check out some of Brother Imran's events. He's always doing stuff. If you, man, maybe I'm gonna come to the next Umrah with the Mandem if you're.
Yeah, bro, I'm gonna pull up too, man. I'm definitely down.
To have you, bro. You would be our personal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you fire.
I promise you that.
But Brother Sheikh, do you want to put any call to actions, any links you want to promote directly? I'll put everything in the description. But anything you take your time to make a plug.
No, you know what it is. Is even if I made the plug, it wouldn't like we've got the Brothers Club right now. The thing, the waiting list.
Yes.
So, so people can check it out, but they can definitely catch it online. The Islamic side of stuff on the Nasir Session YouTube channel, the Brothers Club Instagram page for the business and personal development stuff. You can sign up to the Islamic Studies Institute if you're interested. We've got a set starting in a couple of weeks. As for the Brothers Club, love to have you. Waiting list. We only bring in 100 people at a time, just so we can integrate everyone with high quality into the network. bringing in 200-300 people.
Yes.
We're bringing the numbers and the money, but then at the same time, the quality would be lost. We try to make sure in the network everyone gets to know each other, and we bounce off one another. So there's a waiting list, and hopefully we can get you in there one day, inshallah.
Perfect. Well, guys, we're going to put all the helpful links below. If you enjoy this podcast, you want to see more stuff like this, smash the subscribe button, and thank you to StockPick. All right, until next time, it's your boy Umar.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Barakallah feek.